What's up everybody, my name's Whimsy, your good boy with good vibes, and today we're going to take a look at a magic deck I've been working on. Now, if you are just here for the full deck list, I did put the links to the Moxfield and Architect in the description below, so you can go check them out. For everyone else, I'll be using the rest of this video to break down the themes and mechanics that went into building this deck. And I've made a little treat for anyone who sticks around till the end. So let's go for a walk. Magic the Gathering recently released a Final Fantasy set, and while they did represent the classic Final Fantasy job system with the job select equipment, they tended to be more focused on the characters and moments that made up each of the games rather than the exact mechanical identity of the jobs. So that's what we're going to try to do today. Put a Final Fantasy job under the microscope, see what makes it tick, and build a deck around it. To turn this into a whole deck building challenge, I decided to establish some ground rules. Rule number 1. Each deck must contain at least one job select equipment, if it's available. We may have to make a substitution if the job we're trying to build does not have a weapon, but there are like 20 of these things, so I think we should be okay. Rule number 2. Each deck must contain at least one crystal card. That does mean if we are building a mono blue deck, we have to include the water crystal even if we're not playing a mill deck. Rule number 3. Each deck must contain at least one summon card. I'll be trying to pick the best summon based on the individual themes and mechanics for each deck rather than just throwing Bahamut in everything. Rule number 4. Use Final Fantasy cards. This is our flavor rule. This doesn't mean that every single commander has to be a Final Fantasy character, but it does mean we are going to play Final Fantasy variant art for cards where it makes sense. We're also including a small handful of cards like Crystal of Altar Cave and Starting Town, even in single-color decks where it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Rule number 5. No game changers. These aren't strictly budget decks, and we're not restricted to a specific bracket, but when you have access to cards like Cyclonic Rift and Teferi's Protection, it's really hard to argue against including them. So we're just going to cut ourselves off from game changers altogether, and try to come up with some more creative solutions to our problems. Let's get started with our first deck. I decided to start with Paladin and just kind of work my way down. So what's a Paladin? A Paladin in Final Fantasy is a lot like a Paladin that you'd find in most other games and media. Heavy armor and holy magic. While the job was first called Paladin in Final Fantasy IV, the concept of a knight in shining armor with limited access to white magic has been around since the very first game in the series. Starting with Final Fantasy III, a lot of jobs evolved with the introduction of signature abilities, many of which remain with their associated jobs to this day. Cover is the signature ability of knights and paladins. It allows them to jump in the way and block incoming damage meant for one of their allies. This, combined with their white magic and their heavy armor and shields, made paladins the first tanks in Final Fantasy, with a focus on survivability and keeping the rest of their team healthy while they dealt out damage. So in the magic set, we actually have a decent amount of representation for knights and paladins. Our job select weapon for the deck is called Paladin's Arms, but we also have two other weapons associated with paladins in Aether and Priwen and Excalibur II. Our Paladin and Knight characters include Beatrix and Adelbert Steiner from Final Fantasy IX and the back half of Cecil Harvey from Final Fantasy IV. While Squall is technically a knight, and the best looking guy here, Final Fantasy VII, 8, and 10 allowed you to customize your characters in such a way that basically anybody could be a paladin if you leveled them up correctly. So we're not going to count any of them. To build a deck based on the Paladin job, we want to go back to our core abilities. Cover is the ability to take damage in place of another target, which translates pretty easily onto cards like Zack Fair and Selfless Spirit. White magic means we have access to Cure and Raise, which will be our life gain and reanimation spells. Paladins are tanks, not healers specifically, so we want to leave the life gain as a win condition to the healer-themed decks, but we do want to have some cards in here to keep us in the game. Paladins are the quintessential knights in shining armor, so we'll be making sure to include strong equipment like mithril coat and Excalibur. Given all our picks so far, we're pretty solidly in white. So for a commander, I've chosen Boromir, Warden of the Tower. He may not have the knight typing, but he is wearing heavy armor and protecting the rest of our board from some spells, in addition to having our cover mechanic directly in the command zone. We'll be including Paladin's Arms, the Wind Crystal, and Summon Knights of Round to round out our checklist from before. You can fill out the rest of the deck in whichever way you choose or have the budget for, but I focused on reanimating our cover creatures and adding other effects that let us redirect damage like Gideon's Sacrifice. I also noticed that cover doesn't really protect our non-creature permanents, so I added cards like Flare of Fortitude and Dawn's Truce. After that, we just need card draw, ramp, and removal like any deck. Even better if it fits on a low mana value creature that we can reanimate like Garnet till Alexandros the 17th. I just want to make a note here real quick that I'm not including the Final Fantasy art for Sun Titan, Commander Sphere, or Mind Stone. Mostly because those are really specific to their game, and there's not really a Paladin vibe to be gained here. I think the base Sun Titan looks more like a Paladin than whatever this is. Alright, so let's talk about the elephant in the room. Why are we not using Cecil? He is basically the guy when it comes to Final Fantasy Paladins. Honestly, it's because in order to even make him become a Paladin, you need to lose 20 life, and that's just not something that's mechanically supported by this deck. We're going for a Paladin deck, not a Cecil Harvey deck specifically, so I focused on the things that make a Paladin feel like a Paladin, and picked a commander that would support those themes. Moving on, Adalbert Steiner can be a big creature sometimes, but he doesn't have any utility for us, and Beatrix is double the cost of a card like Arden, who has a stronger effect anyway, so neither of them made it into the deck. Excalibur 2 is a decent card, but Aether Priwen and Excalibur Sword of Eden already have us covered in the Make the Thing Big category, with way less wind-up time. If we were playing more reliable life gain triggers, like Soul Warden, then we could definitely slot it in, but as is, it just takes too long to get where it's going. Now, I know I just talked about removing some cards based on efficiency. We are still playing Crystal of Walter Cave and this really cool Command Tower and Arcane Signet art simply for the flavor. This is not the most optimized the deck could be. If I were to optimize this deck, I would definitely start by cutting cards like the Wind Crystal and World Map, and add a lot more board wipes and Teferi's Protection. Just play around the idea that most of your board is going to be indestructible most of the time, and your opponents aren't. But feel free to tell me how you'd play the deck in the comments. I will definitely be reading them. Final Fantasy's job system is one of its most iconic features. It often offers players strategic depth and a wide variety of customizations and skill expressions, just like you find in Commander. I really hope you had fun listening to me go on about this. I have worked really hard on this video, and I do also have a full-time job, so it's been like extra hard finding time for learning video editing and new software and making a bunch of custom art assets. I may have gone a little overboard for basically my first time out. So yeah, hope you liked it. Anyway, I promised you a treat for sticking around till the end, so I made custom hero tokens! I'll be sharing these on my Patreon for free, along with the template, so you can make your own. I do plan on doing these for every single deck in this series, so hopefully the next video won't take me nearly as long to complete, so look forward to that one. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later. Okay, bye!